And give it up for roundtable member, Mr. Greg&Jenith.
How's everybody doing? Good. Can you hear me?
You gotta
Well,
scream.
hey, I just wanted to first give a thanks to everybody that's been sharing at the event. They've been great already. Oh, there it is. It's popping up. So, you know, Rich and Dave, those guys are running a great event. Everyone that's been sharing, Bob, and, you know, just everyone that's been out there sharing messages, I know it has really helped me move forward. So today, you know, I took a bunch of notes. My wife will tell you that I probably never look at them, but at least I wrote them down. So,
Just to pretend.
You know, as we're working through this, I'm going to bring out 3 different topics. I want to talk about clarity, and I want to talk about awareness, and I want to talk about having a compelling future. And I'm going to bring that back to kind of a short version of my story, because I know this place closes at 10, so I won't go past 10:30, so we'll be all right. I'm kind of a shy person, but I wanted to kind of figure out how can I take everything that I've learned and bring it to a place to where I can help you guys understand such an amazing opportunity. And as I looked at some things, you know, going back on how this whole thing came together, a lot of this was really brought into clarity for me, and authenticity, and being real and raw and honest with myself. And you know, my brother Cody, you know, me and him came together. There's a long story there. I won't get into really all of it, but a part of it, you know, I wouldn't be here, not just because of Cody, but if I go way back to an opportunity to where I knew nothing about this industry. I'd been doing soap and vitamins, and I was in the military. I did a lot of different things, and I was running a mortgage office, PNC Bank, when the mortgage boom was going on. And me and another guy had 60 advisors. And somebody came in and said, you know what, you can take the day off. And I went, oh, really, it's Friday. My wife's going to love that. And he said, no, don't come back. I went, oh, well, that's fantastic. So, you know, we built this whole agency, this whole, you know, all the loan officers that we started with too, and we built them up and hired 40 of them. And, you know, you figure out the value of how important you really are. So I went home and I talked to my wife, and I had all these kids, and I had just been building a house, and I had this debt. And I was smart enough to put $40,000 away inside of an IRA, whatever those things that go up and down there. 401k is what they're called. You know, 401k, 201ks, they turn to a K after a while. But I took that, and I went home, and I told my wife, I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go out on Monday, and I'm going to take five interviews a day. And I want you to look at this as clarity of what I knew I needed to do. And so I said, I'm going to put 5 resumes a day on. I'm not coming home until I get 3 interviews on the spot that day. What a crazy thing to say. Who's going to do that? Well, I did. Went out for 5 days. And I put 5 resumes in every day. I didn't go until I got 3 active interviews on each day. So at the end of the week, I had 3 offers. 2 of them paid me a salary. You know, and the benefit was that I was going to get health benefits there, and I was going to get a salary. Or I could go into this crazy financial business, which I knew nothing about. And one of the reasons they hired me was because of the background that I had. They'd seen that I sold soap and vitamins. For some reason, thought that was a cool deal. So the third reason they thought that I could do what I was doing on that. And so I came back and I understood that I wanted to change my family's future, because I'd set it into a point to where I was working, I was building, and now I was fired. And there was no stability there, so I didn't see any place where my family could go. So I get hired into this firm, and, you know, just kind of speed it forward. I got brought into what's called an estate planning firm. I don't know if you know what that is, but I instantly had to learn 4 carriers, 4 medical supplements, 4 long-term, 4 prescriptions, 4 drug companies, 4 wills and trusts. And I could go down the line. And I got put into this facility where, Greg, you're not going to learn 1 carrier. Now, what you're doing is good, so I'm going to bring that back to clarity. But I got put into an area where, Greg, you're going to learn all these different things. You're going to learn about estate planning in a full bucket. And I knew nothing about it. Nothing at all. And I had $40,000 I cashed in, and I paid my taxes and paid my bills for 90 days. I knew I had 90 days to go make this sucker happen. With 4 kids and 1 on the way. Well, that was a real smart decision, wasn't it? Some people wouldn't think it would have been. So I went out and I learned everything about the industry. And they told me what I had to do. Rich has got some perfect ideas to learn a couple carriers. Get clear. I got clear on what I needed to do. And I focused on that. Well, in 9 months, I did $3 million in premium. Didn't know a thing I was doing. I became the top advisors, and they gave me keys to a car to drive. Some Chrysler 3000 that was brand new that year or something. And I didn't know what I was doing in 9 months. They said, you did $3 million in premium in 9 months, you're our #1 advisor. And I went, well, I didn't even know what that meant. Now, keep in mind, I was a mortgage guy, broke. I could look up and see broke. I had 4 kids. So coming into the income I had was a life changer. Fast forward through that, I became their top advisor, God willing. I was there for 2 years. And at the end of 2 years, they brought me in, and I just closed a $1.2 million annuity between 3 cases that day. And I seen a dolly sitting in my office. And I had glass windows, the creek, swan, bird out there singing. I come into my office, turn my apps in, and I see a dolly sitting there. And I thought, that can't be a good thing. So they brought me in and they let me go, and they said, Greg, you can't work there anymore because you're not splitting any of your commissions with us. You're writing all of these cases and you're not bringing us in to split them at all. So at that point, I had investment in the company. I had a couple $100,000 a year of income that I was getting a flow on and different things, and they instantly put a non-compete agreement on me. And so that income that day, so I thought, man, what am I doing wrong? I'm building this thing for PNC Bank. That got let go on their top advisor. See, being the top doesn't mean that you're on top. That just means that they can see what you're doing. And that's what I started to understand. They just seen what I was doing. I thought, man, I'm the #1 advisor. I'm training all their advisors. All these different things. So they put a non-compete on, and every advisor, when you talk about, now I got real clear on what I wanted to do. I understood that I had found a passion and a purpose for what I do. And I got real clear. What did I need to do to get there? So fast forward through that, I ended up, you thought that nobody that had left that firm that had ever stayed in business. They pushed them out of the insurance business. People were Swans men, trash men. I don't know if people know what Swans is anymore, not business anymore. But it used to be an ice cream truck. They were around delivering ice cream. But they were forcing people out. But I fought. I opened up Starlight Wellness and Health Services, and we put marble countertops, looked like a lawyer's office, and behind my secretary, it had Nutrilite vitamins and Excess Energy. So when someone from the state walked in to see if I was selling insurance, they thought I was selling vitamins and energy. So I was right in my area. So I fought that for 2 years. And I just kept going. I thought, you're not going to take this away from me. You're not going to do it. My sign got ripped down. They came out and ripped my sign down and threw it away. They were sending harassing letters to my mail. My tires got cold. It was fantastic. Tires got cold. So I started looking at all that. And, fast forwarding that through, we went through a lot of different things. But fast forward through that, I had a vision of what I wanted to do. And I became very aware of what my reason was. I had a pull. My pull was how was I going to support my family? You see, my father he was an entrepreneur, and he had a dairy bar. He taught me this. And a company came into his town called McDonald's. Never heard of them. Said, you could join our new company for $20,000, and we'll see if this works. Are you open to it? My dad said no. And I watched him go through that. I learned, so I learned entrepreneurship and stuff at a young age. So I knew owning my destiny was important. I became very aware of what I needed to do. I didn't have to understand how I was going to get there. I just became very aware. And through that whole thing, I just decided that no matter who was going to get in my way, they were either going to be with me or they were going to be behind me. Now, I'm going to be real true. I'm going to be very raw and real with you. I had a passion to want to help people, and I still do. I wake up every morning because of everybody in this room. We want to see, my wife and I want to see you guys win. And that's why we're here. So to go even forward, as we're going through and, I bumped into Cody. Now, it's funny, you guys know Cody Newton. I didn't know, boo, I knew about his dad. I thought his dad was cool, cool things to slice bread. I didn't know boo about him. I was with another launch company that was taken off. And honestly, when Cody and I talked about this whole thing, I said, if I hear the word launch one more time, I'm going to puke. Me and him had talked, just prior before. Dave, I don't know how to tell time, but I'm going to get through it. I'm Polish and left-handed, so someone has to read clocks for me. I don't understand how to do that. But it's on the right hand, it's the wrong hand. But anyways, but I was going somewhere with this. But with Cody, I didn't know who he was. And the gentleman I was mentoring under at the time, you guys may or may not know him, but he said, why don't you give Cody Newton a call? And I think he was picking on me because he knew who he was. These guys are friends. And he didn't call me. So I reached out to him on Facebook with this really confident, I'm more successful than you are text message. Through message. Nailed it out to him. I got this. I'm the best thing since sliced bread. You want to join our business? I was starting another launch. He launched me right off the other end of the message. So, we talked a little bit. The fact that now that I sit here and understand the fact that he even messaged me, I think that he was just having fun. I'm going to put this guy in his place, and sure enough he did. And then, we lost contact. And then, you guys may think that I've got this really successful, great story. The #1 advisor did all these things, went well. But there was a period of time from 2014 till about 2020 where Brokewood looked pretty cool. Brokewood looked pretty cool. A lot of things happened. My marriage fell apart. Imagine having, don't imagine this, but just hear the story. Imagine your marriage falling apart, getting sued by an advisor for $250,000 because he didn't show up to work and his brother was a lawyer. Your own family breaking into your home while you decided to try and disappear and spend 3 days in hospital. Now, I've never told this story, and it's only because of him that I'm sharing this. But I wanted to be authentic in prayer. Yeah, I disappeared for 3 days in the hospital. Everything happened at one time because I lost clarity. And I didn't have, the only thing I was aware of is I wasn't important. And I didn't have anything of what I thought was a compelling future. So getting through all that stuff, you're a pastor. Imagine this, you wake up and pull you put a hose in my mouth. Imagine pulling the hose out and having the first thing to say to pastor, say, you know what? I can no longer be your pastor, your kids are gone, see you later, goodbye. That was my first conversation. Again, I didn't have clarity. What were my expectations? I didn't have, but the awareness I had was way off, and I didn't have much of a compelling future. So you look at all that, you know what I did on Friday? While I'm sitting in the hospital, I wake up on Monday, I wake up Friday afternoon, I get home, somebody picks me up, my office has been trashed, I get back on Monday, and Monday at 3 o'clock, what do you think I did after I got out of the hospital? $300,000 annuity. That afternoon, the day I got out of the hospital. Because I woke up and decided that I was finally clear on what I wanted to do. I don't recommend to do what I did to get there. But I started understanding that there was a purpose for what I was doing. Fast forward that, finally Cody and I came back and I for a second round. I share with you that not for you to feel any sorrow, but to understand that when the chicken hits the fan, you can turn it off. People will come to me and go, oh, it's on. It's on, Greg. And I go, turn it off then. I go, what does that mean when people say it's on? Turn it off then. But, you know, when Cody and I came back around, I had just literally come out of another event. My wife and I were just piling through. And, you know, I'd always maintained $2 million a year in the business. Just enough to buy, to buy Rainbow Bread and have some Spam. Every once in a while, I go to Applebee's and get 2 glasses of water in that sample platter to tell your queen that we're going on a big date. Don't order any lemons, though. They may charge us. You know, so we did that. And when Cody and I came back around, he called me. I sent him another message, and he called me. And we started talking about some of the other stuff, and we did some things with solar. And I didn't know anything about solar. I just knew that the sun came down and something worked. My little electric Christmas lights would be on. I didn't know anything about that. But he brought me into the system. He didn't bring me in for solar. You see, he understood that my expectations of myself weren't where they needed to be. There was no clarity, absolutely. What I was aware of was wrong, and there was no compelling future. Now here's the funny thing. I make a sale on solar. And at the time, someone brought my wife and I in. We lost our agreement at our last IMO for 30 days. Because somebody wanted me to build an IMO for them. So we invested $40,000. My other IMO found out that I'd been doing it and canceled my partnership. My contracts were on hold. I wasn't getting any leads anymore. I had no money to buy them, and I put $40,000 into this other company for another IMO, which is still running today. We're excited for them. I'm supposed to be. I don't know. Maybe not. But we had lost $40,000. We got it up and running. We put in the time, built the business plan. We got agents hired, got the system, made the corporate contacts, made the contacts with the insurance companies, got them all directed. And they called me up and said, "Thank you for your time, but we think we can do it on our own now." So what do you think I did when Cody called me and said, "Hey, listen, let me talk to you about this insurance thing"? I said, "You go on saying for all I care. I don't want to talk about nothing. It's another launch." But in between that, we were down to $1,200 to my name. Number one agent out there, right? So what did I do? You know, Bob, I'm going to say, you were allowed to say dumb, so I'm going to say dumb too. So I do one of the dumbest things in the world. I text my new buddy, "Hey, can you loan me some money so I can go buy leads?" Because when I was buying leads, they were $16,000 for 40 leads. Wow, holy muffin, man, isn't that crazy? So I text Cody, I said, "Hey, you know all about me, keep the commissions," and he lovingly had his own nice message. I wasn't very loving at that point, but I knew what it meant, and I felt like a complete ding-dong. About 10 seconds after I sent that message. I will wrap it up here, I know. But through that whole relationship with Cody, we started talking more about what I could do, because he didn't abandon me. He didn't. In fact, he helped me figure out what were my expectations. What do you really want, Greg? There was no clarity. My awareness was I was going to be broke the rest of my life, and I actually wanted to be broke. Has anybody in here wanted to be broke? I don't suggest it, but I wanted to be broke. I could look up and I went, there it is. Broke is cool. And, from that whole, my wife and I were able to take the energy and move through. And 30 days after that one, we went out and closed an $800,000. It's before, that was February 2024. Me and Cody were talking about it. And that whole thing burst in February 2024. Even before, and I like Chuck Norris, he's got some good ones. But, you know, the one thing that I can tell you is through that whole event, I started to look at myself and understand that I had a big wall as an advisor, as a person, and 95% of my problem was my mental health, my wellness. The other 5%, oh, he ticked me off. He did. Hey, Greg, no one cares what you know. And I looked at me. Right, Gregowski? You know who I am? I don't care what you know. And I finally figured it out what he meant by that. But 95% of my problem was my mental fitness. My clarity was horrible. My awareness was that I was worth nothing. And my compelling future was to be able to be broke. That's where I was. But and the whole time he said, you're the number one advisor. Now I'll be the number one advisor. And I think Rich and Dave wanted to put me through like a frat house. I mean, and these guys, that's a whole nother level. Without them, I wouldn't be here. But imagine thinking you're the number one advisor out there. I am good. I know what I'm doing. I got this blue jacket. I got a new weight coat. But imagine never having that writing, thinking you're too good to write final expense policies. Who's going to write those? I used to write those. And then after going through these challenges, Cody could, me and him praying about it. Okay, I'm going to give this a new run. I'm gonna start helping this. We're gonna put this together. Cody, I just need to get Spam and learn how to cook it. And I got a great wife. She knows how to cook Spam. So good. But getting through all that, and then now you think you're moving, and my licenses are going. I got leads coming in. Cody and I are talking. My awareness is starting to be more aware of everything. What my purpose is. My future's getting more compelling. But then imagine you write. Start to write 4 to 10 different final expense policies, and you're excited. And every one of your contracts just get canceled. Again! On accident. I told Rich, I said, I think they were putting me through some kind of a sorority thing. That's girls, or frat house or something. But it was just an administrative error, and I knew that. And I called Cody up, and I think with him I was probably not the nicest. Rich, I was super nice to. I was never, you don't want to not be nice to Rich or Dave. Those guys are amazing. Cody, I could talk to him normal. I talk to Rich normal now, too. It took me a little bit to get there. But imagine then you get running in and all your contracts get licensed, get contracted. Canceled. How would you guys feel? Would you trust the environment? I never lost trust at all. Not a one. And the point of that is I started understanding what we were doing. I seen the vision of what these two guys had, but the vision of what he had, and what Bob does now, and the people I'm missing here. How you doing over there? Joe, I've been in his house one time. That's the greatest thing in the world. But, I know I need to wrap this up. Well, I went way too long. I'm sorry. I'll get done here. But, the point of all that is when you finally figure out what you really want to do, and fast forward to where we are now, somewhere along the way we finished second. And I'm proud of myself. I am. I was mad for about 3 weeks. Because everything that these guys have taught this whole organization, I started looking at my own self, and I'll leave you with this on all the different, I share with you that, and those are actually just a few of the challenges that I've had. That's just a minor, very minor amount. As I looked at this throughout the course, I'm building, taking the blue, earning the blue jacket and the trips and everything like that. I turned around and looked on the wall and see my brother, who became a quadriplegic when I was 15, and we got him to race in the Olympics. 6'9". Think about the challenges he had. My son Isaac, you're going to get a chance to meet him. I'm going to be doing a Zoom here with him a little bit. That he had his skull taken off and had to learn how to walk and talk and breathe all over again. And now he's married, looking to become a pastor. He had to learn how to do that all over. So, to wrap this up, I hope I've shared my heart with you on what, if you're going through anything at all, the biggest thing that I want you guys to understand is crap's going to happen. The chicken's going to hit the fan. But I love, Bob gave me, I love what Bob did, because now I can actually talk to you Cody and I am not the guy that you're going to come and rub the shoulder and go, dude, we just love you. Just loving on you, great guy. Just tell me, hit me in the nose and tell me what I got to improve on. And it's a good thing we have phones, otherwise you wouldn't hit me in the nose. But take this time. We've got one of the best programs, I believe, in the nation. I know that. And I know that because I know all the other organizations that are out there doing this. I know the Simplicities and everybody. I know the owners of them. I've been doing this thing a long time. I've been behind the doors helping with building annuities and leads and Bessie the lead printer and all these different things. I know what they're not doing. And everything that we're doing, nobody else wants to. That's for another time. But you're literally in the right place. And to understand that we're really going to focus on, my wife and I are focused on disruption and recreation. There's a lot of momentum that comes with that. Anything that's not working in your life, get rid of it. Disrupt all that so you can create momentum. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're always going to have the same results. But find out, what your expectations are. Why did you come here this weekend? Did you come here just to see a few people? Did you come here just to hang out? Did you come here just to see Cody or me or Bob or Rich or Dave, which are cool? You guys should come and just hang out with these guys. I love these guys. These guys are family. I didn't have much of family going on before I came into this. I consider these guys family. They truly are, because they have a heart. So, as I wrap this up, look at why you're here. And I want you to figure out, what are your expectations? Figure out what your clarity is on what you're doing or not doing. So you can create awareness. And the only thing that's going to move any of you forward is having a compelling future. My future wasn't compelling. So if you guys can do that, these guys, everybody in the room here, have created a compelling future. And what we're doing is we're working on developing people. You don't need to know how to move a product. We want to help people become a better version of themselves and teach you how to get closer to God along the way. That's really what we want to do. I appreciate the opportunity, the time. Rich is charging me $100 for every minute I go over, so I'm going to hurry up to wrap this up. But if you can understand that while you're here is really important. I had a client that died last week. And because I built a relationship, Joe talked about, and I know every one of their family members, we're rewriting every one of them, all the beneficiary money. Because the mother told me and the children and notes she wanted the money to be created a legacy to read. See, we're really doing a lot. I could go on further. I know, Rich, I apologize, I took too long. But, you know, what we're doing is more than what I'll boldly say most of you know. But you'll get there. So, make sure that you know your expectations. Have clarity. Find your awareness. Have a compelling future. And make sure God is at the head of everything you're doing.
Amen.
I love you guys a bunch. Thanks for listening.